Welcome back. This is the first video I've made in quite some time. A lot of stuff been going on in our lives. So just with my job, my full-time job, and then the business that my wife and I own and run has been growing and been taking up a lot of time. Didn't have a lot of free time to make any videos lately, so a lot to play catch up on. So since the last video, I've competed in ETTS in Texas, also in Ohio, and then just most recently we competed, Blair and I together, in the co-ed division at the team event in West Virginia. So 3 events to catch up on, a few other things that I want to talk about, kind of some things that I'm going to be going through, some reviews on some different types of gear. So Texas at ETTS, that was my first time ever competing there. Really cool venue. It's in northern Texas, kind of just south of Dallas, in a place called Waxahachie, if I'm saying that right. Looks like Waxahachie, but everyone was like Waxahachie. So so really cool event. It was kind of like middle range. They had some longer range shots, so they had a really cool stage where we got to go out to just past 400. It was like 420-ish. And we had some shorter range bays. Let's see. The run was probably one of the worst runs that I've done so far. It was mainly because you were running in mid-calf length grass on the side of a hill, sloped, and you were running just at an angle the entire time. You really couldn't get shooting on it. Was really cool. So Kirk Homer was one of the battle bosses there, and he ran the long distance event, and that was pretty cool. So you had a par time to get your shooting done. You had pistol first at, I think it was like 40, 50 yards on a piece of steel. And then you moved into different rifle targets. You had 200-ish yard targets. And then you had up close targets, some paper IPSC. And then you got into a really large kind of tunnel, and you engaged long distance steel out to there. That was the one that was 400 plus yards. Other ones were, really tall yoke events, your typical stuff, sandbags, farmer's carry. We had sleds, but the one that really stuck out was biathlon stage. So it was a really cool sprint stage. You had a fairly small rifle target and a fairly small pistol target, and you started with, I forget how long it was. It might have been like a 200 meter or a 400 meter run. I forget exactly how long it was. You do a run, you come in and you shoot your rounds on target. For every miss that you did, you had to do an extra little lap around these little cones. It wasn't as far as the other laps, but you had like penalty laps. So you really had to push the run and then balance the speed of pushing the shooting. If you shot way too fast, then obviously you had penalty laps, and so you had to balance it all. That was the most memorable one that I remembered, and it was a lot of fun. It was a kind of a sprint type event. ETTS, that was, like I said, that's my first time being there. It was a really cool event, really cool venue. Got to see some of my Texas friends there that I don't see too often. In the elite, I was going up against some pretty stacked guys out there. So I ended up getting third there. Sal Hernandez got first, Jacob Hepner got second, I got third, and so it was tight going into day two. For me, getting third, like Sal and Jacob were battling it out for first. They had it locked up for first and second there. Um, Good event, great time. I would definitely go back to ETTS. Really, really, really good time. The first day was so hot. It was really, really, really hot. I remembered that. The second day wasn't as bad, but the first day was super hot. Moving on to Ohio. So Ohio, first time I've ever competed in Ohio. That was the first time the TAC Games had an event in Ohio. So it was kind of a cool time. Blair and I both went to that one, and we both did pretty good. I ended up getting third there again, and she got second, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she got second. So it was Tristan Buris got first, she got second, and Jay got third. For men's elite, Jacob Hepner got first, Tim Szymanski got second, and I ended up getting third. Another really, just a ton of guys, good competitors were out there, male and female. The really good competitors were there. Ohio was an interesting time. So the most memorable part of Ohio is that if anyone was there remembers that on day two, we got rained out. Like there was a torrential downpour that just washed through on day two. Thankfully, it was late in the day, so it didn't ruin too much, but there were some stages that some people didn't get to compete in because it literally rained so hard so fast that there was probably about 6 inches or so in some areas where it was just standing water, like you couldn't do anything. But on the same token, everyone rallied together and went and helped, tore down the range, got everything picked up in a timely manner, and worked out really well. Ohio that's the I can't remember the name of the range. I'll find it and I'll put it in there. But Ohio is a cool place. The ranges were pretty good. There was like these little rocks that were everywhere in Ohio, and they would just shred your knees. So we were all wearing shorts, and I didn't bring knee pads or any kind of knee sleeves or anything, and 100% learned my lesson from there because my knees were just like little mini razor blades every time you knelt down, and you definitely paid the price for almost a week or two afterwards. It was my knees were shredded. So interesting things at Ohio. We started doing heavy bags over parallel bars. If you're not familiar with what like a parallel bar is, it's PVC piping. We use them in CrossFit, or I guess it's like really a gymnastic type thing. But it's a parallel bar where you're off the ground. I don't know, maybe about a foot or so. I don't know the exact height. And then the men's elite were carrying a 200-pound bag. You had to pick it up and step over with it, drop it, turn around, pick it back up. And I'd have to go back and look at how many times we had to pick it up, but it was a decent amount of times. I believe it was in the 20s that we had to pick up the 200-pound bag. Shooting was good in Ohio. The physical was challenging in Ohio. It was a good time. Great volunteers at both events, Ohio and at Texas. Top-notch volunteers coming in and helping out. And that's what makes or breaks a great event sometimes, is the ability to get volunteers to come in. So if you've never volunteered, I highly recommend you do it. I'm volunteering in the Iowa event later this year in October. I'll be one of the battle bosses. I'll be doing it there at Brownells. So really cool to be there. My friend who is competing at the first time, Caleb, we used to work together in a gun shop, and he's going to be he works at Brownells now. He is going to be competing for the first time in a tactical game, so super excited to see him, super excited to cheer him on, and he's going to do great things. The team event. So the team event in West Virginia, the West Virginia team event, last year was the first year they did it, and then they followed up again this year. Just a ton of fun. Last year I did it with my friend Zach Thor, and my wife came out and spectated, and when she saw it, she goes, "Me and you have to do this next year. You got to promise me." And I said, "Absolutely." So, I look forward to that the whole year, being able to compete with my wife. I really enjoy competing with my wife. We've done it a couple times in CrossFit, and this was our first time doing it in the tactical games. And the funny thing is everyone was we'll bicker back and forth, but it's really not that bad. Like, we're just picking at each other. But some people were nervous, but the other ones were like, "Are you guys married?" It's like, "You guys seem to do really well with this." I'm like, we communicate well with each other, and it was a good time. West Virginia is a beautiful countryside. It's at Panthera Training Center. They have a really well-made training area. There is plenty of hills there, and if you've never been there, just know that there are tons of hills. If you've been there, you 100% know what I'm talking about with their hills. When you go on your long movement, there's a couple big hills, but there's one hill in particular that you have to go up and down each day, probably no less than 20 times, and it's just like, do I have to go up this hill one more time? And the answer is always yes. You always have to go up this hill one more time. And you're pretty tired, but West Virginia is just a really good time. Blair and I ended up taking first in our division there. Good time. Our friends competed in like the men's elite and the women's elite, so they had a great time competing there, and it was really challenging. It was, in the co-ed division, the weight's a little bit lighter. So Blair and I, we just had a lot of fun. It was like a low-key weekend, and we just really enjoyed it. Got to meet some new people. There were some people there that had competed for their first time, or it was like their second time, but it was their first time doing the team event, and got to help coach, or you athlete judge some people. It was a good time. So those are the 3 events that we kind of caught up to. That's like a real brief overview of those. Not really like an in-depth review. If you want more of an in-depth review of those, you can ask for it and I'll do one. You put it in the comments and we'll go through it. But so kind of moving along to what I've been working on kind of behind the scenes in the last few months. I've been testing out some gear. So I shoot a 2011 pistol. I shoot a Staccato XL, and so I've been using their mags. And recently, I was asked to try out Atlas mags. So Atlas Gunworks is another company that makes 2011 is a trademark term. So if I say it, don't hate me for it. But a double stacked single action pistol firearm. How about that? But they use similar style mags. The Atlas mags, their springs are definitely have more tension behind them. So I was curious as to what the differences were. So when these were, I didn't buy them. They gave them to me to try and kind of test them out and see what I thought. So I tried them at Texas, Ohio, and West Virginia. And I've been practicing with them in between. And so 3 matches, probably the better part of 6 months of trying them out. Is it like wildly extensive torture test. No, it's not. But I've had some real-time use with them in matches, which if something's going to go wrong, it's 100% going to go wrong in a match. So I got to try these out. That's just kind of a real quick update that I have been on these mags and kind of been using them to give you a review. So I'm going to make that review in a separate video so this one doesn't take forever. But yeah, good mags. Really enjoy them. So the other thing that I've been wanting to get into with the tactical games is I've been wanting to. I missed last year's inaugural sniper competition, but I knew I wanted to get into it, and I still do. So I ended up moving some stuff around. I sold some stuff, and I ended up everything finally came in with my rifle for the sniper comp. So I'm happy about this. I can go into further details in another video, or if you guys want to know something specific, I'll tell you. But I ordered a custom action from Curtis Custom Actions. This is their Valor. It's their quick change action. So basically I can, with a barrel vise and a barrel wrench, I can change out the barrel myself. So if I want to change calibers, or if I shoot a barrel out, I don't have to send it off to a gunsmith and wait however long of a wait time there is. I can just order a pre-fit barrel made for this action, and I can change it myself, and that's kind of what I wanted. Caliber this is in is 6mm GT. I don't know if I can. So 6 GT, right? I got it from GA Precision, and so I ordered the barreled action from them, and then I bought a MDT ACC chassis, right? See if this is. So got that chassis, and I ended up putting a TriggerTech Diamond trigger in there. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to do a sniper challenge this year. I really wanted to do it this year. The venues look great. I really wanted to go to the one in Alabama because it's close to where I live. And then, like I said, stuff at work. My full-time job has kind of been hectic, and so my schedule's been changing nonstop. But anyways, so that's the sniper challenge rifle. So I think I talked about everything. Curtis Custom. Oh, it's a Bartlein barrel in 6 GT, MDT chassis, TriggerTech trigger. I'm more than likely going to put a Razor Gen 2 scope on another rifle. For right now, I'm probably gonna take it off of that one and put it on this one, just because my budget doesn't allow me to buy another $2,000 optic. So I will I'll probably do that. I'll start getting some data on this, and we'll do a little subsection on that, kind of getting this spun up, breaking it in, shooting it, checking our groups, and working on that. So I through GA Precision, I bought a bunch of factory 6 GT ammo, and then I got Alpha Munitions 6mm GT brass, and I bought enough projectiles for the life of this barrel. They're Hornady 109 projectiles. They're the new ELD match 6mm projectile. They based it off of their 110 A-tips. If this is for like all the reloader guys, but if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. It's just reloader nerd talk. But they basically took their 110 A-tips and put their ELD tips in there, so the cost isn't as expensive as the 110s, but apparently they're made to the the same way, the same geometry. So I'm going to get some dies for that. And I'm probably going to get some Hornady dies. They make a seating stem made specifically for that projectile just to make things easier. And I recently got an amp annealer, and so I am going to. I went deep. So if you guys are familiar with what this is, it just I did a lot. Really excited to also try these arm boards. So if you're familiar, if you've done the tactical games and if you've done the sniper challenges, you're familiar with John Hatcher. So John, he's competed in tactical games. He's volunteered at tactical games, and he's done sniper challenges. He is a very, very good shooter, very knowledgeable guy, and he makes some really cool products for precision. He primarily does gas gun precision shooting, but some of the, like, you know, the arm boards and stuff, obviously that's going to carry over to whatever you're doing. And if you're not familiar with arm boards, I'll do a separate video on this and we'll go through how all this works, but this helps you prep for stages, right? So Sun and Shadow is his Instagram handle. Really good guy, very knowledgeable. Really enjoyed getting to know him. So another thing that I am going to be trying out is pretty useful. So it's from, there's a company called Multitasker, okay? So they make AR-centric tools. They have some pretty useful tools called the Multitasker Twist. Recently, they just came out with the M4 tool that also fits in a B5 Systems butt pad. I happen to use a B5 Bravo stock. It's my favorite stock to use. I started using it because their QD mount is anti-rotation, and I had a hard time trying to find other stocks that did have an anti-rotation slot. So I used other stocks before. I used Magpuls, and I like Magpul stocks, but all of their QD mounts, the QD mount isn't anti-rotation, so a lot of times when we had to do sling manipulations, it would get the sling would bind up and turn around, and I just didn't care for that. Now Magpul might make slings now, or stocks now, that are anti-rotation, but at the time they didn't. So I transitioned over to the B5 Bravo stock, right? So it has a partial slant that gives you a little bit of a cheek weld and a little rubber butt pad. So all you do is you would just they have these little tabs, and you pop that out. So like this one doesn't have a spot for the tool, right? They comes in, the new butt pad has the tool in it, and so I can tell you that more than a few times people have come up to me at a tactical games like, hey man, you got some tools on you? And normally I drive and I'll have some tools, but being able to have this little tool inside the butt stock of your rifle it's extremely useful. So the different tools that function that you have on this is you have a slotted screwdriver, a castle nut wrench, you have a 1/4-inch nut wrench driver, and you have the ability to do a AR bolt override. So you can get something in there and try and override the bolt. The slotted screwdriver is great for making adjustments on your scope when you're trying to zero. The castle nut wrench, that might be one of the most important things on here, because there's been a couple times where guys have had their castle nuts back off, where they weren't staked and they weren't torqued properly. And I mean, if your castle nut's backing off, and you can't just hand tighten it. You need a tool that has the correct spot to tighten it down on. So with this, you'd be able to at least tighten it down, put a good torque on it, and if you had some pins, maybe try and stake it on the end plate into the castle nut. So that right there, I think, in my opinion, might be the most important tool in there. Might not be the one that you use the most. I think the slotted screwdriver would probably be the one you would maybe use the most, or even possibly the quarter nut driver might be something you would use a lot. Hopefully your mounts aren't coming loose, but I think the slotted screwdriver would be the most. And then the bolt override, again, very important if you need to get your bolt open. Probably not going to use it a lot as long as you PM your rifles, using preventive maintenance and whatnot. But really cool tool. I'm going to use this. I'm going to take apart some of my other rifles, and I am going to play around with the castle nut tool and see how easy it is to work with it. And when I go to, especially with the new bolt gun, when I go to put my scope on there and I go to zero stuff, you bring this tool out and I'm going to use that slotted screwdriver. But the great thing about it is that they have a spot for you to put it in there, and it's not taking up any room. It's in the butt pad on the butt stock, and you just put it on your stock. So pretty smart. So I'm gonna try that out, and I'll let you know how that goes. And that's kind of just like the catch-up video right now. But as always, if you have any questions or if you have anything that you want me to go over, ask me. Put it in a comment. You can hit me up on Instagram as well. Shoot me a message. That's one of the great things that I will say that I got to do at all three events. Texas, Ohio, and West Virginia. Got to meet a lot of great people, and some people had mentioned that some of these videos have been helping them, and I'm super excited that these videos had a chance to help them. Anywhere from zeroing a scope that came loose and they watched the video and they made sure everything was good, to just informational videos, just some different types of gear. I might be going over some positional shooting in the future. If you're interested in that, let me know. More like VTAC shooting, if you're having a hold at a 90 and things like that. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But we're going to go over some review stuff, and we're going to go over some stuff for the bolt gun, and maybe go through some load development and just some kind of fun stuff. But thanks for watching as always, and if you have any questions or any comments, you can always put them in the comment section down below. But as always, like and subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to know about when more videos coming out. I'm going to try and do a better job of trying to get some videos scheduled out and put them out on go back to a regular basis. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you at a Tactical Games event, or if you're in the Louisiana area, I'll see you there. But if not, I'll see you again.